All right, my friends, welcome back. This is going to be part 26 of my presentation on the flood and Noah's Ark. And now we're going to get into a very large block in my presentation where we start looking at fossil graveyards. And to kind of catapult ourselves into that, first we got to find out what the heck is a fossil and the different types of fossils. And so we're going to go into all types of different things, guys. And then we're going to we are going to look at some fossil graveyards to show that something catastrophic on a worldwide scale happened on this planet. Nothing localized. We're talking worldwide. Though you will hear me bring up from time to time that secular scientists, using their uniformitarian thinking, you guys ought to know what that word means, uniformitarian. You've heard me mention it many, many, many times over and over and over again, even since the dinosaur and man presentation. And so, but because of their thinking, many times they're going to say a local flood, a river overflowing. But the fossil graveyards we're going to be looking at goes way far and surpasses anything that could be such a thing. And so, but we're going to look at some fossil definitions. And remember, guys, we're learning, we're educating, we're going to take our time. But you guys are going to know more about this than a lot of the secular scientists, because you're going to have a biblical worldview. You're not going to have a secular worldview. You're going to have a biblical worldview. So when you go outside and you see some of these things and you hear about some of these things, you're going to look at the whole world in a whole different light. That's the way I look at it. I look at it completely different. When I see some of the newscasts and some of the things on PBS stations and stuff, and what they say in Nova, even though they have great research, they come to the wrong conclusions. And when I look at it, I can see a catastrophic event, a flood event. And even in the news, what's going on in our world with wars and rumors of wars and stuff like that, when you look at it with a biblical worldview, guys, it gives you peace, because you know that the Bible has already talked about these things. And so it's very important to have a biblical worldview. You will constantly hear me say that. And it's not just about creation. I'm talking about everything in your life. If you have a biblical worldview, things are going to become much more clear than ever before. And there's a lot of people out here, they don't have that. They have no hope whatsoever. They think that once we die, that's it. That's the end of it. And so you might as well just live it up now. And so it's a very sad place to live and to see our world. But such is the case. But for us, Bible believers, it's a different thing. You know, we have a purpose. We have a purpose while we're here on this planet. And so, but this is what I'm here for. And this is what we are to be here as a Christian body. The church is not a building, it's people. It's the church body, a body of believers. And we're here to educate each other, encourage each other, as we see the day of the Lord growing closer and closer. Why? Because it's going to get real bad, guys, and we're going to need some encouragement. And so even though I'm going all the way back in the book of Genesis, where it all began from, it's to encourage you guys that you're not here by an accident. You're not an animal. You're not an evolved animal. That's what the secular scientists want you to believe. That's what Satan wants you to believe, is that you're just a mistake. You know, that's all you are. It's an accident. There's no purpose for you. No, that's not the way it is. You have a purpose, no matter how physically you're able to do things. Everybody has a purpose. Everybody does. You may be limited by physical limitations, but you still have a mind. You still have a soul, and you still can do things that other people without physical limitations, they can't do. You can do. And so everybody has a gift, a spiritual gift that's born again. Every single person has been given a spiritual gift. And so it's up to you to find that out. And the best way to find that out is to get in the Bible. Get in the Bible, give God the glory for what he's done, and he will reveal that to you. And it took about halfway through the scriptures before I found out that I have the gift of teaching. I have a teaching gift. And so now, anyway, that's my intro. So, but let's go ahead and let's get started. If you'll notice on the screen here, this is chalkboard time with Donnie. Now, you guys ought to know what this is from the beginning of this presentation. And so I'm not going to rehash all that, but it's time to go through some definitions. That's what we're doing here. We're going to go through some definitions. Now, the right conditions, we're talking about fossils here, the right conditions, not time. The right conditions, not time, very key to remember this, are what is necessary for fossilization. You can get fossils in a short amount of time. You don't have to have millions of years to get a fossil. And we'll talk about some of that later. Fossil definition. It's fossilis. It's Latin. It means to be dug out. That's what that word means, to be dug out. Anything dug out of the earth. Anything dug out of the earth is considered a fossil. You dig in the earth and you pull out a rock, you got a fossil. Believe it or not. Believe it or not, guys, that's exactly what you got. But in traditional terms, we're thinking of, plants and animals and stuff like that, but that have turned into minerals. But in geology, one of the various petrified forms of plants and animals which occur in the strata that compose the surface of our globe. Any impression or trace of an animal or plant of past geologic ages which has been preserved in the Earth's crust. That's what a fossil is. Let's keep going. Still going on with fossilization. The act or process of converting into a fossil. That's what fossilization means. An organism is replaced by dissolved minerals in the groundwater. That's what, when you think of something in the fossilization process, that's an organism is replaced by dissolved minerals in the groundwater. Now, taphonomy. What is taphonomy? You may hear this word mentioned. It's the laws of burial. That's what it means. Taphonomy is the laws of burial. Taphonomy is a term used to describe the process that results in the formation of a fossil. That's what that is. So just remember that word. You may hear that word brought up from time to time. Types of fossils. Now we're going to start to get to some types of fossils. Now, I won't be able to finish this in this one video, but we'll get as far as we can. Coalification. Coalification. This is one that you guys ought to have heard before. Or coal. You're thinking of plants. When you hear of coal, you're thinking of plant material. Its living things consist of high carbon content. When buried under extraordinary circumstances, only the carbon remains, forming thick coal bands. Rapid burial and heating from compression is required. You'll often will hear this also used as fossil fuel. You'll hear it referred to as that, fossil fuel. It has been calculated, based on the amount of coal that exists presently, the pre-flood world had about 8 to 10 times more plants and trees than we have today. Coal makes up less than 1% of all sedimentary rocks, and more of the world's electricity is produced from burning coal than from any other single energy source. Now, so you know what sedimentary rocks are. You have to have water, and you've got the ground material, but you've got to have water. Water will lay things out in sediments. That's how you get sedimentary rock. Going on, it says, geologists have admitted that the origin of coal is a geological mystery. Though secular scientists, because of their uniformitarian thinking, believe coal came from compressed peat. Now, you also have oil. Now, oil is another term that you'll hear. It's made from living organisms. And if you've ever seen the Sinclair sign here, you'll see a dinosaur. Now it says right under the dinosaur, mellowed 100 million years is what they're saying. And so again, they've got that secular timeline, that uniformitarian thinking in there. But no, it does not take millions of years for oil to form. And so we'll talk about that later. Now let's go on some notes about coal. Some notes about coal. a ready combustible rock containing more than 50% by weight and more than 70% by volume of carbonaceous material, including inherent moisture, formed from compaction and induration of variously altered plant remains. Depending on the amount of energy, coal can be ranked from least to most. Lignite, bituminous, and anthracite. The differences are due to the amount of the concentration of carbon. Coal seams often have a flat bottom and top and can cover huge areas and be up to 260 feet thick. Wow. The Appalachian Coal Basin, eastern United States, is approximately 70,000 square miles in area. The Kentucky number 12 coal seam covers an area of about 14,500 square miles. The Powder River Basin of northwest Wyoming, up to 200 feet thick and extends 75 miles, and southeast Montana is believed to contain over 20 billion tons of recoverable coal. Australia's, I'm going to try this, Latrobe Valley has about 70 tons of recoverable coal. Marine fossils, shark, fish, and seashells are often associated with coal, such as clams and various fish. Sometimes coal seams split, and in between the two seams, geologists find marine sediments showing the plant material was laid down at the same time as the marine sediments. Going on, vertical tree trunks known to pass through coal seams and upside down trees have also been reported to be found in the coal seams. Boulders are often found in coal beds all over the world. One explanation is that the boulders were dropped from the roots of floating vegetation or stuck in the roots from the coal. Secular scientists name stones they believe dropped from icebergs that existed during the supposed many ancient ice ages drop stones. They call them drop stones. These drop stones are rocks with a diameter thicker than the layers they were found. Some coal seams in the eastern United States are made almost entirely of tree bark. This would mimic the catastrophe at Mount St. Helens, if you guys remember that, where the floating log mats of trees rubbing up against each other caused the bark to sink to the bottom, causing the layers of bark. Makes complete sense. Geological coal and charcoal, coal-like material, are both black, but coal seams have tiny layered structures. Nobody knows what causes this. Okay, let's stop right here. I'm really actually kind of stopping in the middle of the notes on coal. When I was planning this video out, I didn't really have a good stopping point, and so I just said I'll just go as far as I can. And so, but at any rate, we'll stop right here and let you kind of chew on this information here. And but when we come back, we're going to pick up where we left off here with the notes on the coal, and I'm going to share with you some other very interesting information. And then we're going to look at some pictures and stuff like that. I'm going to show you some really wild stuff that they have found in coal also. And so, but again, I hope you guys are learning something, and we'll check you out next time. I hope the Lord blesses you real good. I love you. Y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.